Good afternoon. I would like to welcome Olga Tomanova, Media Center in Ukrinform, the 9th year of war, 139th day of the full-fledged invasion of the Russian aggressor. I'm grateful to all of those who are speaking the truth about this war. Today we have a special event, namely the presentation of the TNMK band's video clip, created jointly with Energoatom, National Nuclear Energy Company. Our first speaker is Petro Kotin, the president, the CEO of Energoatom. So, Petro, how did you come up with this idea and how did you implement it? Esteemed colleagues, hello. I'd rather start by recalling what was the thinking process behind helping the bands to make this clip. I would like to start by expressing our appreciation to the bands, to the frontman, to the director for this video. Actually, they have introduced our desire to keep repeating the world about the situation that is currently going on at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the biggest nuclear power plants, not only in Ukraine, but worldwide, and about the heroism of the NPP, residents of Energodar city that are under occupation of the Russians. The NPP has been occupied for the 5th straight month, as well as Energodar town. It started March the 4th, and since then the Russians are creating inhumane conditions to our personnel, abduct them, kill them, create such conditions when it's basically impossible to operate. But our personnel keeps working. They recognize that they're responsible for the biggest nuclear power plants in the world. We keep providing energy to the Ukrainian energy grid, and thus we ensure not only the energy safety of Ukraine, but of global, of the whole world. The situation is quite tough there indeed. The invaders all this time are being abducting our people. I will share only 2 examples here with you. Andrei Goncharuk, the employee of our NPP, has been severely beaten up by Russians and died in the hospital. Another employee, Sergei Shvets, they have entered his apartment and shot him by machine gun, only because he had clear pro-Ukrainian position. And just by miracle, Sergei was saved, his life was saved, and he keeps fighting on his health. But there are lots of other events in Energodar that are happening there on a daily basis, causing the personnel to operate in very difficult conditions. That's why it's extremely important to support them. And I'm grateful to the band and all those who were instrumental in making this video to support our personnel, so that they know that the whole of Ukraine, with the residents of our occupied territories, not only of Energodar, and that the armed forces of Ukraine are close by. They will come and liberate them from the invaders. So we need to talk about the heroism of those people at any opportunity, including the help of the artists and well-known bands Tanok na Maidani Congo, TNMK. I would like to thank you for supporting the nuclear industry and the residents. 95% of people there are in support of Ukraine and are against the invaders, and that's exactly why it's extremely difficult for the invaders when the whole city is resisting them. So we want the whole world to recognize how we are able to protect the nuclear security of the biggest nuclear power plant in Ukraine and the world. Glory to Ukraine, we will prevail. We will definitely prevail in this war. And now I would like all of us to watch this video. The director, Yuriy Kovalev, Energodar is Ukraine. I would like to give the floor to Fagot, the artist, and Kovalev, the video director. So, what was the thinking process? What did inspire you? I can only talk on my behalf and thank Yuriy for being so creative, for feeling such niceties, and the whole idea of launching this idea into the people's consciousness. Of course, it's being done fast, and it's been quite nervous because I fully recognize what's happening both from outside and inside, and I recognize how difficult it is for people right now, especially in Donetsk, under shelling, and it's difficult for me to recognize how people who are staying under occupation. That's why with the song we are trying to shout out to them, because over those barriers, over the occupied territories, sometimes it's tough to talk to people because our enemy is distorting facts and information, any facts and information. So that's yet another step to tell the people on the occupied territories that we remember about you. The armed forces are working on this. The whole of Ukraine is working on this. Ukraine will definitely not let anyone behind, and hopefully this liberation will happen as fast as possible and would cause less suffering. So it became quite a nice song, quite powerful and beautiful. The first thing that I started being asked, how come you haven't mentioned all of the Ukrainian cities? But that was a poetic decision, because it's in this particular song we were basing it all on Energodar, the city that works for all of us, not only for you, for Ukraine, for people, on behalf of people, for the sake of people. And that's why we remember about them, and we know that nobody will ever forget about them. Ukraine used to, is, and will be Ukraine. And we feel so many things for the first time in this war. Lots of things never happened before. For instance, nobody could possibly imagine before that what you can do when the barbarians would come to the biggest, most powerful NPP in the world. How would they behave themselves? How we should be behaving ourselves? Well, this is something that we are making up as we go along. Nobody could imagine this, but it's happening now. And that's why we remember about all of the occupied cities. We remember about all of those cities that are not being occupied but are under constant shelling. We are working. Everything will be Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, Yuriy. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the team, even though I'm standing here on my own, but actually there's a big team behind this effort, and I'm grateful to each and every one of them. You asked us, when did idea come up with? Well, that was an impetus from Energoatom, when they told me, well, here's an idea to support our people at the occupied territories. Well, Energodar first and foremost. Well, and I recalled when I heard about Energodar for the first time myself. That was March the 2nd, plus or minus. And I learned from the news that ordinary people would not allow the enemy troops to enter the city. and that was cool. That was so cool and courageous. And I have watched lots of documentaries of what's happening in the city, and I've seen a video. So I first heard it on the news, but then a couple of months' time, I've seen finally this video when the huge crowd, they're standing there, no arms in their hands, not allowing the armed barbarians into the town. Could you have possibly imagined that when soldiers are fighting one against another? Well, that's quite obvious. The armies, the cannons, weapons, most important. But here, the people will not allow the enemy troops to enter the town. So then I started recognizing that Energodar is like a symbol, and we cannot even sing or make video only about Energodar, because it's like a flag. Behind it are all the territories that are there. And I believe that this video, this track, is very powerful, very strong indeed. I had my skin crawling. So even this meeting today, I believe we all have one goal, so that many people will see this video. First and foremost, those who are at the occupied territories of Ukraine, any place, they should feel that we remember about them, we support them, and we give them hope. This is very important. And also, those people who are staying at not at the occupied territories, they should think, even for a minute, they should feel what people who stay behind are feeling daily, and support them with a kind word or with a kind deed, whatever they can do to support people at the occupied territories, because this is extremely important. And so what this video ends with, we see other cities and towns. And if Oleg would start enumerating all of them, that will be a never-ending video, because we recognize that when we mentioned only a handful of cities, actually we were talking about all of them, each and every one of them. So Energodar is symbol, and it's a flag, a very strong image indeed. And if you have seen it there, we all recognize the heroism of our defenders in the armed forces and the territorial defense units and the air, but morally, it's extremely difficult to those who are staying in the occupied territories, because you know what, their hands are tied daily. They wake up and they motivate themselves to go and work or survive somehow in this very difficult state they are in, and their internal resistance is very powerful. We all remember not only Energodar residents who blocked the Russians in the first couple of days, we remember Kherson residents and others who would bring out the flags and mount the enemy equipment, and who are still standing strong and fighting. Thanks a lot for such a beautiful synergy between the state-run company and artists. This is extremely important. Friends, your questions, please. Microphone. Elena Mitsutska, 1+1. My question is to Energoatom CEO. So technologically, do you have ability to talk the nuclear power plants? What's going on there? Are there armed people around? And the question to Oleg, you said it was very nervous, this whole experience. But people who would be able to see this video under occupation, it will give them additional strength, right? Let me give it a try, okay? They have strength. If you look at as to what's happening in Ukraine and with Ukraine, we have a huge sea of strength, and of course we recognize what sort of an enemy we're fighting here, and we recognize this mega strength of Ukrainians is putting a stop to all their blah 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 and all of their boasting and saber rattling. Yeah, they have more live bodies and more equipment, military equipment, but we multiply them by 0. Every single day we do it more and more conscientiously. I believe in Ukraine, I believe in Ukrainians, I believe in Energodar. The support is needed to everyone from this side, from the other side, and if they believe that we never forget about them, and we never forgot about them because we will liberate them. So Energodar a priori is Ukraine, and all of the occupied cities, Ukrainian cities, will be liberated 100%. Let me add to this. Those of you who would be writing something, and that's why we came here today actually, before you write something, look at the comments below the video, okay? Just make sure to watch it and it would become crystal clear to you. We have arranged all those? No. You will see comments from Energodar, from all of the occupied cities. People have started adding names of their villages, and you will feel their nerves. I started reading the comments, and that was the end of it for me, because some of the comments could be used as the headline. It has pain, it has hope. You'll find everything. Just have a look at them. We tried to do it, but we tried to get into the hearts of those people, and we managed to do so, and it's cool. So our nuclear power plant is part of the Ukrainian grid. We are the managing company of the whole nuclear power plant industry. We cannot control the physical security of the power plant. For the time being, the invaders are not being involved in the work of the power plant, but we have to approve with them all of our orders. Also, there's the personnel from Rosatom. And there they are as advisors to those military invaders. The energy goes into the Ukrainian energy grid in the amount that is needed. Thank you. For the questions, please. Nazar Voitenko, first channel. The question is to Petro, Kotin, and to the director. How were you able to communicate? You, Mr. Petro? Somebody has heard something, right? And what were the locations? That's the question to Yuriy. Well, the idea was, like I said, to support our personnel and to tell the whole world that this is Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and this is Ukraine. Together with our PR service, which is very powerful now, we had come up with this idea and we tried to find those artists who would be able to implement this idea. And we're grateful to the boys for lending an attentive ear and making such a powerful song for Energoatom and for the whole of Ukraine. The producers came to me and the idea became immediately crystal clear, this whole underlying message. And then I asked, who's gonna be the singer? And I was told Oleg, and I'm a fan of their work, know lots of their tracks by heart, and I recognize how much they are part of the effort. That's why I agreed, and we started crystallizing this idea. Certain things work like a magnet in life. Something comes up first, then as a magnet it brings something else. The right people comes together. And now I don't even feel that this is something that we did it. And it's impossible to say when it actually became part of the joint effort. Everybody felt personal responsibility for what was going on. And like I said, when you read the comments, you'll see that it was bullseye for us. The location was here in Kiev. We had such a beautiful team indeed. Starting with producers, how weird it sounds, because bringing together a team in a time like this, well, in this video we had people from the territorial defense, those who played the invaders, and clenching their teeth, putting the white band on. Then we found the location, the team. We had a guy responsible for the explosions, and then next day he went to fight at the front line. So everybody worked feeling and recognizing why and what we're doing. Leonid Olinik, press service of Energoatom. At the end, you had a couple of dates from the future. What do those dates mean? I'm so sick and tired of those questions. Well, there are certain things in life that you don't have to give the answer to. They just exist for people to think, so that they will have some emotions and hope and faith and love. So those dates are the dates of the faith. And everything else is in the God's hands and in the hands of our armed forces. Thanks a lot, friends. Do we have any further questions? Okay, one more thing to add. Just happened so that TNMK presents this because the producers of this project brought the music of Max Velichka from Kropivnitsky. Fuz wrote the lyrics, and we haven't changed a single note in the Max music that he wrote for us. So this is a true collaboration of a couple of bands that haven't even seen each other. But thanks to Energoatom technologies, well, it became possible already. But also I would like to I will thank each and every one after the victory, and then we'll look into the victorious eyes of the Ukrainians. Yeah, thanks. Hopefully all of the residents of the occupied territories will see this video, and they will know that we remember about them and that we will definitely prevail. Oleg Fagot, TNMK band, Petro Kotin, CEO of Energoatom with us, and Yuriy Kovalev, the director. Glory to Ukraine. Read the comments under the video. It's quite inspirational indeed.